This is Rob Trammel. Rob is a relatively new employee here, and Rob is going to talk to us about using SQL and JSON and the while function for charting.
So my name is Robert Trammel. I've been developing with FileMaker for about 10 years, and recently came over to Harmonic. Let me pull up my keynote here. Consequently, this is also the first time I've ever used Keynote, so. So my presentation has a little bit elements of SQL and JSON, but the more I thought of it, it was more about using the FileMaker charting that's there that a lot of people have abandoned, but I still like it for some things. So, obvious, I started because I had a problem. I had a problem where I needed to get a summary of daily work, as well as quickly get an idea of what percentage of work had been done in specific areas. I started working out in the last year or so I spend a lot of time looking at this. I know it doesn't look like it did very well the week of February 3rd, but I enjoyed it, and so I thought this would be a good way to display sort of a summary of daily data in a more visual way. So this is what I came up with, and if you guys were here last week, you saw this, but I make no apology. So it's not JavaScript. That's the number one thing that people ask me when they first see it. They're like, is that JavaScript? No, it's native FileMaker. So we have the FileMaker Charts. They're not as elegant as some solutions are out there, but I contend that they're still useful. They give us some nice layout elements that we can use. So that donut on the screen is basically just a pie chart. And that there's a while function going on there that I debated showing you guys, but it's a little complicated. Maybe I'll show you in a second. So you take a regular pie chart, and I've always had a contention with the way that FileMaker natively displays the data, because sometimes you have so many data points that it all gets crowded, and it just, I don't know. I've never been a fan. So I turn the legend off, I reduce all the data points to 0, set the background to transparent, and then pull my data in, usually with an execute SQL statement for the labels, and then another one for the data. So this is what the script looks like. It builds a JSON object. And the reason I did it using JSON is because when you set up all of those relationships in the relationship graph to pull the data, and there's a lot of manipulation, it kind of makes your graph get really busy, and it's also very slow sometimes. So I do one execute SQL statement that gets all the data, it does all the summing, all of the processing that you want, and then it stuffs it into a big JSON object. And this is the structure, essentially. So then the objects on the layout are actually just looking at this object and doing JSON get element functions, and it's very fast. So in the end, you end up with something like this. But it's still, it's kind of like what is there, So button bars to the rescue, right? So they have the button bar calculations, and then I like to use these. I think in the past you would just create a calculation field, but then if you're only using it in one layout, I mean it's It's another thing that, will help you end up with a table with like 100 fields and only 14 of them actually have data in them. So, so I think button bars are great for solving that problem. So to change the day of the week, essentially it's just getting a globally set start date, and you set the corresponding day of the week variable at the top, and then it gets all the rest of the data and displays it like this. And then in the end, you end up with something, it's not all the data yet. So but you can tell, okay, now this is data that's being summarized by the day. So let's add some legend data. So now, I guess I didn't take a good screenshot on this, but these are basically the hours that I'm spending on different projects. So you can see, 9 hours here, 2 hours on this one, and then company B is just kind of out of luck. But now once we've done the day, we can basically copy paste this and change that day of week variable for each day of the week. And then you end up with this.
Very nice.
So that's my contention for not giving up on FileMaker Charts just yet.
Was it JavaScript?
Well played.
Well, so you didn't use JavaScript, but you did use JSON, which is like halfway there.
It's almost there, yes. Okay,
Super awesome. Thank you, Rob.
sure.